Hi everybody, Claire here from Rainbow Acrylics. I'm going to be doing two sets of coasters in this video. These are the paints that I'm using. The first set of coasters, I am mixing the paint slightly runnier. I'm doing 2 parts pouring medium to 1 part paint. The pouring medium is my PVA glue, a homemade pouring medium, and that's mixed 2 parts PVA glue to 1 part water. So this first set of coasters, the paints are deliberately thin because I wanted to see what effect that would have. As you can see, I'm putting down some rings of paint. So the idea of these coasters is that it's going to look like an iris, like the iris paintings I've been doing recently. And I'm going to do it as a swipe. So the centre of the coasters here, this is where the pupil is, and then the colours are the iris. So I'm swiping here with some white, thinned down white paint. I'm using a little bit of plastic, which I've just cut up a laminating pouch to create the swiping tool, and then giving it a clean, giving it a wipe each time to remove the paint, putting a bit more white on and swiping again. You can see in the top left coaster, you can see that the white line isn't straight anymore, and that's because the paints are runny. All the paint is sort of collapsing in on the white paint there, and that's because this is deliberately thin paint. The reason I decided to make them deliberately thin was because these are actually a commission, and the customer saw an iris painting that I did where I had deliberately thinned the paints, and it gives a much swimmier, fluid look rather than the normal look with the normal cells. These paints all have 1 drop of spot-on treadmill silicone in as well. So that's all the initial swipes done. So I'm now using the blowtorch to heat the paint slightly to create the cells. So over time, because the paints are so runny, the cells really expand and distort, which is what I was wanting. But there's too much white around the centre of the pupil. So I decided to swipe again. This swipe, I'm not adding extra white. I'm literally just dragging the white paint that's already there back across the rest of the tile, just to try and spread the white out. And then I'm torching again for cells again. So to start with, the cells come up really nice and round and small, but over time they will expand and distort because of the runniness. As you can see here, I'm just fiddling with the central paint to create a slightly rounder pupil. So here's the wet result. So the cells, it looks more like lacing than cells, to be honest. You can see the lovely, the gold and the mustard colour in there. It's just a lot of white lacing, which is really pretty. You can see how the paint consistency affects the design, because it's not a typical swipe design. Now you'll see, this is the dry result. You'll see that there's some lines going through it. I decided that the paint was, because it was so runny and the cells distorted so much, it lost its pattern. So I just dragged a stir stick through the paint to create more sort of swirly lines, to create more of a radial pattern from the centre of the pupil. Also, once it dried, I added some more paint to the pupil to define it more. But you can see there that real gold shimmer there. So once these are resined, that will look gorgeous. So, set of coasters 2. These paints, identical colours, but they're all mixed thicker. So they are mixed 1 part pouring medium to 1 part paint. And again, the pouring medium is the homemade PVA glue and water mixture. 2 parts PVA glue to 1 part water. So this time, because the paints are a bit thicker, I'm not pouring them on in the same way. I'm using a stir stick to put the paints on. And again, exactly the same design, the dark pupil in the centre and then the concentric circles of paint. I'm alternating the gold and the turquoise colours, the mustard and the turquoise colours. And again, there's silicone in each of these colours. So I'm just bursting the air bubbles with the blowtorch and then starting swiping. The other difference this time is that I put the white down in the centre of the iris. So I'm not adding any extra paint. I'm literally just pulling out the paint that I laid down right in the centre. And then after each swipe, I'm wiping the end of the swipe tool, the plastic, on the worktop just to remove that excess paint. So this time, all the white radial lines are staying straight. They're not collapsing in on themselves like the first set of coasters, and that's because the paint is thicker. It's staying as I'm leaving it after swiping. So blowtorch now, heating up the paint so that the silicone in the paint rises to the surface to create the cells. The cells will start out quite small, but over time they will expand. But again, similarly to the first set of coasters, I'm not happy with all the white around the centre. So it's exactly the same again. I'm swiping again over the top. So I'm dragging that central white back over because it's too white near the centre of the pupil, the centre of the iris. And then torch again to create the cells. Still too much white in the centre. So actually, this is the third swipe on this set of coasters. But this project has really taught me not to be afraid of swiping over, swiping again. You've got to keep swiping until you're happy. As long as you don't swipe all the paint off the coasters, the paint is still there, the silicone is still there, so you'll still get the cells. So you can see I'm really thinning out the white here. And torch again for cells. And this is the result. So the white is nicely spread out. Got some beautiful cells there. I really like the stripes, so the alternating white turquoisey lines with the cells over the top. I'm really happy with that. I added some extra paint in the pupil again, just to define that a bit better. And then this is the dry result. So the turquoise has darkened a lot, which is nice. There's an amazing blue that's come out there, which is really iridescent. The turquoise, the gold that's iridescent. Really beautiful. You've got the lines, you've got the cells, you've got the iris design. So I like both sets of coasters. Both are totally different. Let me know what you think. Please subscribe to my channel, hit the notification bell, leave me any comments. Which do you prefer? The coasters with the runnier paints, the coasters with the thicker paints? I'm not sure. I like them both. Bye.